Thanks, John. Good morning. Looks like a beautiful day coming up. Around the beaches this morning, smaller waves, that swell's dropped quite a deal, and we now have waves around 1 metre at most of the open beaches. The wind just picking up offshore. Conditions will become better during the day. They're going to improve a lot. The waves are looking quite good at the moment, and the best beaches will be Newcastle, Bar Beach to Merewether, and south if you'd like to do a bit of travelling. For the swimmers, most of our city beaches are quite safe. The water's still quite cold though. As far as the weather's concerned, the forecast reads cool to cold at first with some local fog patches, and then a cool day with cloudy periods and an isolated late shower or two. Northwest to northeasterly winds at 10 to 20 knots, that's 20 to 40 kilometres per hour, and slight seas rising to moderate offshore on a low swell. Newcastle and Scone both expecting a top today of 18 degrees. High tide coming up at 7 minutes past 10 this morning, 1.3 metres. Low tide at 3:30 this afternoon, 0.6 of a metre. And the outlook for Thursday, west to southwesterly winds developing with a few showers. Well, that's the story. Small waves around 1 metre, offshore conditions for the board riders, good waves at all of the open beaches, safe conditions if you'd like to go for a swim, although it's still a little bit cool. 18 degrees for Newcastle, southwesterly winds headed our way tomorrow. That means cooler conditions and a few showers. Have a great day, whatever you're doing. Back to you, John.
Lunchtime today, we caught out at the Gateshead
That's
School.
especially for the infants collectors to stand, move out. Wonder if the spider's there with her. The 10 men, dragons, with our fairy tale characters, is Pinocchio.
To encourage the children's interest in books by bringing well-loved stories and poems tonight.
I bet Peter Pan is there, and I bet we have a couple of...
In an effort to appear lifelike, some of the children did go to experiment.
This year we're introducing a triathlon event, which is the premium event. It involves a 1 kilometre swim, a 9 kilometre run and a 28 kilometre cycle. And that's open to various sections, including veterans. And there's a major prize of a trip up to Surfers Paradise in that event.
I also believe you've got an orienteering section which is leading up to an Australian Championship.
Yes, that's correct, John. We're having an orienteering, what we've called the Cockle Creek Orienteering Classic, and that involves paddling and running around and through the 5 islands at Cockle Creek, and that should be quite an event.
Peter, this year are the organisers going to capitalise on this wave of fitness fanaticism that's taking over the country?
We're having also a program where some fitness testing will be involved, and people from all shapes and sizes will be invited to come along and have a go at that. And that also involves a prize, but you don't have to be actually fit to get that prize though. We're interested in people just coming along and participating.
It became evident to you.
Local Federal member Mr Frank O'Keefe will talk to Bradmill executives tomorrow to see if there's any possibility of them accepting federal government assistance should it be available. Bradmill Chief Executive Mr Rod Hartley is expected in Maitland tomorrow to talk first with local politicians, then the Rutherford staff and later with the media. The message he will rig has been evident for a long while. That severe overcapacity in the company's Australian operation means savage pruning will have to take place. It's believed the company has decided to concentrate its operations in the southern states, relocating machinery from Rutherford in Tasmania and South Australia. This now leaves a cloud over at least part of the Katara plant. Katara has two mills, one producing fine yarn for the open market, but the other coarse yarn for Rutherford. It's not yet been made clear if this part of the Strait operation will survive. Work is expected to continue at Rutherford for a while, but will peter out by October when all existing arrangements are filled. The employees are expected to hold a 24-hour strike on Monday to hear reports from Australian Textile Workers Union officials. However, it does appear that any action they take will not stop the closure.
Will you be making any mention of Brad?
Spoke for all when he summed it up
possibility,
as
now that I'm aware of there's the matter of the distribution of the wage factor, and of course the unemployment of the families that have been employed there, or the people that have been employed there. A big impact on the present, on top of the present unemployment in the Maitland district.
You'd call it a tragedy?
It is a tragedy, a very great tragedy for Maitland.
The Hunter Region Travel and Meeting Planner has just been released, and according to Batterhams, there has been a significant interest in it. For convention purposes, the planner lists 14 venues, some of which, such as the Park Royal and the Singleton Civic Centre, are relatively recent developments. So according to Richard Turner, the area is better equipped than ever to attract conventions and tours, it just needs promotion.
The planner was produced to help supply what we consider to be a need for such in the valley.
What's the potential convention market like?
I think it's untapped. We're enjoying fairly good times throughout the valley at the moment, but still we have a large part of the market to yet see. For example, there is a minimum of 500 conventions held in Sydney each year, and I'd like to see the valley getting more of that. We had an inquiry on Tuesday from a company in Minnesota wanting a quantity of the books with a view to coming to Australia and looking for a suitable venue for marketing seminars. Hopefully we can snag them as well.
Thanks, John. Good morning. Well, a nice sunny start to the day. It's quite cool out here at the moment because the winds are blowing from the west. Around the beaches this morning, waves quite small, under 1 metre at all of the open beaches, and conditions looking nice and smooth, glassy, but the waves are just getting too small for the board riders. I'm afraid the tide's going to come in. It's going to be quite full around 11 o'clock this morning, and there won't be too many waves breaking at all. If the board riders are keen, open beaches early this morning and late this afternoon. If you'd like to go for a swim today, all of our city beaches are quite safe. As far as the weather's concerned, the forecast reads early fogs and then a cool day with the chance of showers. Northwesterly winds at 15 to 20 knots, that's 30 to 40 kilometres per hour, and seas slight to moderate on a low to moderate swell. Newcastle expecting a maximum today of 17 degrees, 15 degrees for Scone, high tide at 20 minutes past 11, 1.3 metres, and low tide at 10 minutes to 5 this afternoon, 0.6 of a metre. And the outlook for Saturday, a few showers with northwest to southwesterly winds. Well, that's the story. Offshore winds to stay with us. The waves quite small, although it does sound like the swell may start to build. Possibility of some good waves for the weekend. It sounds a little bit too good to be true. 18 degrees for Newcastle today. Have a great day whatever you're doing, and a great weekend. We'll be back on Monday morning. What's the chances of you winning up there in the Kempsey Macleay? How confident are you?
Well, we're very confident. Conditions mean a lot. If it's wet conditions, I'd say we'd become favourites because we've got certain tyres that aren't available in the country. If conditions are dry, well, the luck of the draw, I think, is a lot. Depends how far up the front we are when we do our prologue, which establishes our grid position. If we do well there, we've got a good chance. If we finish, we'll certainly finish in a place. There's no doubt about it. It's that kind of race.
It's a pretty important event as far as you're concerned.
Well, it is to us because we're doing well in the overall championship, so we really want to do well here to stay with it.
Sure. A win in this one would put you where in the current ratings?
A win in this one would put us outright leaders.
Harold, they're quite a machine, these.
Yeah, they go well.
You're off-road. It's like rallying, only in much rougher conditions, isn't it?
Yeah, the conditions are very rough. When it comes to a car, compared to a buggy, you're looking at in lap times of 15 to 20 minutes different. They can traverse the rough country a lot quicker and smoother.
Certainly.
You simply don't back off the bumps, that's what it's all about.
As the workers left the Rutherford plant today, they looked to drain. And why wouldn't they, after being told that the weaving, dyeing and finishing complex will be closed by Christmas? In addition, part of the textile spinning mill at Katara, which supplies yarn will be closed by next April. However, the fine spinning mill at Katara will remain in production for the foreseeable
6 weeks to
future.
6 months.
The employees were not shocked.
How do you feel
They
about
must
it?
have known it was coming, but they were angry.
Stinks. My old man's been here for 30 bloody years to give his bloody life here, and he goes down the bloody drain.
So you give them your best all these years, and they turn around and just give you a kick in the stomach.
What were you told in that about?
Oh, more or less what was going on, like what we heard on our television. We
haven't got a job, that's all it is.
And I said to him, well, what about the jobs? And I said, you're taking our job, but you're going to give them to somebody else. I said, fair enough if the place is redundant and the jobs become redundant, but they just simply take them off us and put them other places.
In announcing the company's decision today, the chairman, Mr. Rod Hartley, said closing Rutherford and a large part of Katara were the minimum steps necessary to restore profitability. But why was Rutherford chosen and not another of the company's 7 sites throughout Australia?
We're talking about 40, 45,000. The planning has been going on since last September. It's been that long, and the sort of problems that we've been agonising over is trying to forecast demand for the next 4 or 5 years. And the conclusion we've come to is that for all of our plants to operate at full capacity, we needed to close a very large one, not just a small one. Now we've got 3 large ones throughout Australia. The other 2 are custom-made textile buildings, modern, well designed for the job with very modern equipment in them. And they're also in markets which are rather more secure. For example, one of them produces 60% of Australia's denim, which is a profitable product. So that Rutherford, with the shape of the site, the type of buildings, a lot of its equipment was entirely unsuitable compared with these other 2 more modern plants.
Now, what will be happening to the Rutherford site as far as your company is concerned?
I just don't know. When we've closed the operation, we've got no plans at the moment. Our minds have been taken up with how to handle all the problems that we've got at the moment. I don't know what will happen to the site. It'll be on the market, I suppose.
The debate, which dragged on late into the night, boiled down to 2 sides. One saying that it's the right of the elected alderman to know what is going on and to bring matters to the attention of the public. The other side was accusing Alderman Geddes of trying to point score, of trying to get at the Lord Mayor through her secretary, Mrs. Zell Meehan. And at one stage, Mrs. Meehan was described as having been sacrificed on the altar of expediency for political gain.
In the end, the vote was 10-6 in favour of a motion from Labour's Alderman Morris, which condemned Alderman Geddes for publishing the details of Mrs. Meehan's upgrading. The motion also rejected any implication of collusion and/or conspiracy in the regrading coming so close to repeal. To quote, it's considered that Aldermen in possession of information which is clearly confidential are expected to respect that classification. It was this point that led to a further motion that in future, all requests by Aldermen for confidential information from the town clerk will be referred to council for consideration. Because of the widespread effects of such a move, the motion was noted and referred to the next Policy and Priority Committee meeting. After the special council meeting last night, Alderman Geddes said he's still not satisfied that the matter of the alleged conflict of interests has been dealt with. He said he'll be referring this aspect to the Minister for Local Government, Mr. Lynn Gordon.
The fact that you then decided that matter and
Try scorer for Lakes United. Lakes now.
Winning came easily to the Falcons today in a game that made the Parramatta Wildcats look more like a litter of kittens. It certainly wasn't a match that could be described as exciting. The Falcons established a strong lead early and held on to it throughout. By half-time, this score was 69-35 in Newcastle's favour. Even at that early stage, it was clear the visitors didn't stand a chance. The Falcons finished with 117 points, well ahead of the Wildcats on 94. Top scorers were Morrow 25, Davidson 21 and Johnson 14. The indications that the Falcons would secure the state title came last Saturday night when in the quarterfinals they defeated the then reigning champs, the Bankstown Bruins. But although today's victory may have been half expected, it's certainly a high note to end the season on. The Falcons will play their last 1983 match against the Australian youth team at Broadmeadow next Saturday night.
Thanks, John. Good morning. Another cool start to the day. It's very chilly out here at the moment. The wind's still blowing offshore from the west for the board riders. The wave's still quite small, around 1 to 1.2 metres at all the open beaches in town. Conditions quite good. Conditions glassy. The wave's holding up quite well. Unfortunately, we don't have too many good sandbanks around town, but there are waves at most of the city beaches. If you'd like to go for a swim, most of our city beaches are also quite safe at the moment. This may also be the last day of westerly winds that we have for a while, so if you've got the time, good day to take advantage of these conditions. The forecast for today, cool with sunny periods and the chance of a shower about the ranges. West to southwesterly winds at 15 to 20 knots, that's 30 to 40 kilometres per hour, and gusty. Morning frosts inland. Newcastle heading for a top of 17 degrees once again, 14 degrees for Scone. Low tide at 7:56 this morning, 0.5 of a metre. High tide at 2:26 this afternoon, 1.4 metres. And the outlook for Wednesday, cool southwest to southeasterly winds and isolated coastal showers. Well, there we have it. Small waves for the board riders, possibly the last day of offshore winds for a while. Those winds are going to turn around more to the south. Waves around 1 to 1.2 metres. Newcastle expecting a top today of 17 degrees. Have a great day whatever you're doing. Be back again tomorrow morning.